Well, good morning again. Another fireside chat. I'm by a different fireside today. Some of you may recognise this is Jackie's office at Team, where I'm here with her today. I'm really pleased to welcome Mike Whatman, who's one of our newest service providers. Mike's been a friend of Team for a couple of years and has supported us and some of our members with their development. It's real pleasure to welcome you, Mike, formally into the Team family as a service provider. And just tell us a little bit about your history in recruitment and where you are today, because you've got a new venture, haven't you, going you're out on your own now, which is congratulations on that.
Thank you. Yeah, so interesting journey to get here. If we having this fireside chat 14 years ago, I've been at medical school playing professional rugby. So very, very different walk of change of path. So I say was doing that and focused on human performance and psychology. And then, as a lot of people did, it's the oldest cliche in recruitment, isn't it? It kind of fell into recruitment and then loved it and never left. So I started working at a life sciences recruitment agency, utilizing my knowledge of medicine and the industry to try and give myself a leg up. Ended up launching a quality assurance and manufacturing division. So very quickly realized that it wasn't actually going to be that useful. So did that for a number of years. So part of my role at the business, it was a very common story. One of the early employees of that business, and we received a lot of investment to scale. Part of my job was to identify new markets, build teams, divisions from scratch, really from a business planning perspective, and then kind of like a succession planning perspective as well to create future leaders of those teams. Did that globally, so the US, Central Europe, King's Cross, less glamorous, and Sydney as well. And then did that for a number of years. And then my role took a bit of a swerve. We grew enormously. And then there was a demand to create like an internal talent development function to meet the demands of the growth of the business. We were utilizing brilliant external partners at the time. One of them is also a team family member in Jeremy Snell, brilliant man. But he couldn't kind of meet the demand of the entire growth because he's one person, and obviously was hugely popular as well in what he did. So my role was to kind of set up that talent development function. So from new starters up to senior leaders, creating career plans, training, development, etc. And I did that for a couple of years. And then I wanted to go and kind of test myself on my own. I'd been at that business for a number of years, and being honest, probably got a little bit of cabin fever. So I wanted to go and test myself in other functions, other markets. So went off and set up on my own to start with on a consultancy basis, really looking at kind of future leaders and leaders in businesses. Ended up meeting my kind of former business partner, a guy called Andrew Silito, and we ran a leadership consultancy business for a number of years together. In that time, worked with thousands of recruitment leaders from huge multinationals, 1,000-head businesses, to smaller kind of startup organizations. And then as of January this year, decided to go out on my own. Andrew was obviously focusing on his accounts and his clients and customers he was working on, and I kind of developed my own too. So one of those kind of just really good timing things, where we're kind of doing our own thing now. And that kind of brings me up to today. So launched Mike Whatman Consulting. I'm not paid for my marketing ability and branding. Stuck with what I know, and so that brings us up to today, working with businesses and leaders of businesses.
Good. And can you share a couple of little stories of businesses you're working with, the sort of challenges that they face, your actions, and then the outcomes of what you're looking to help them, and where you're helping to get them to? That would be
of course.
useful.
So I think where my I suppose target demographic is, in terms of where I can have the kind of the most impact at the moment, is kind of either with sort of startups, solopreneurs, or kind of those small to medium sized businesses who are trying to make that quantum leap to plus 15 heads.
Yeah.
There's a reason why 80% of the recruitment industry is sub 15 heads, because making that transition from a single leader led business to the next stage is really tough.
Yeah.
And so what I kind of do with businesses at kind of different levels, obviously if they're in startup phase, then it's helping them grow and helping them with their initial launch and new business planning and how to start generating revenue. But then with more established businesses, it's how can we maximize the human capital within that business. It's about developing leaders and giving them the toolkit and the frameworks to be able to maximize that human capital. So single leader led businesses, how can we develop that next level of leadership within the business? It doesn't have to be job title dependent. I think that's where sometimes people get the wrong end of the stick with leadership. It's not, now I've got 2 stars on my badge, it means I have to act like a leader. It's something that someone on day one, leadership is behavioral. So how can we instill cultures around growth, around maximizing talent, around developing future leaders? So the kind of owner, founder, managing director of the business have more of their time to be able to focus on the business rather than getting caught in the weeds in the business, so they can maximize their return and the impact that they have.
And without mentioning any names, have you got any examples of where you've been able to take businesses over the last year or so on their
community? Sure. So a couple, let's say not naming names, a couple within the team family already. So I started working with one business 2.5, 3 years ago now, based in the Southwest originally, and brilliant business owner who wanted to scale and wanted to grow their operations. And part of my remit was to come in and help develop that secondary level of leadership, because they wanted to, I say globalize, but move from Bristol to London and open up a different office and have different, target a different markets. So part of my responsibility was to develop that secondary leadership group to be able to go and run an office and be autonomous, so they could expand, so it wasn't all left on one person. And they've gone from strength to strength. When I started working, there was about 15, 16 of them in the business. There's now 75, 80 plus. Brilliant business, looking to grow even further into the US and doing really kind of brilliant things. And so lots of different stories like that, really, which is around helping companies grow and kind of scale in a kind of a challenging environment. And
I guess your vast experience globally and working in King's Cross helped them move to London.
Yeah, exactly. That's it is. King's Cross is the Silicon Valley of London, isn't it? It's what it's known for.
Exactly.
It's what it's known for.
Good. That's tremendous. And just how do you see we are in 2022 is possibly some of the best years that a lot of our members have had at Team, and the general marketplace as well. It's sort of really boom time. There was 1.3 million jobs live in the Q4. That slipped a little bit this year. People are a little bit nervous about 2023. How do you see 2023 from your perspective, and how can you help your clients? I meander through, I think, the concerns that they might have with the uncertain market.
For sure. I think the first thing to start this off is, because of the job that I have and the role that I have, I get to spend a lot of time with people in the know, in inverted commas. So talking to either investment bankers or people who kind of look at M&A in recruitment. And I think the first thing from advice that I try and give is control the narrative. Form your opinion from the people that know, rather than tabloids or people trying to generate interest or clickbait on online news streams. Look at numbers, look at data. I appreciate we had Neil from the REC come to one of the events that I attended. Look at people like that. What are they saying? What are they looking at from a numbers perspective? Because that's how you should form your opinion on what's to come this year. I think if we look back to news articles last year, it was Q1 was going to be the start of a horrific recession and retraction. At the moment, it hasn't mapped out that way. Let's look at numbers, let's look at that way. So that's the first thing I say to people is form your opinion on data and listen to the people who are in the middle of it, rather than people trying to create stories or sell newspapers. The second thing I'd say is focus on what you can control. That's always the thing that I think is important in any element of high performance. It's how can you focus on what you can control. So what can we control? We can control how we communicate with clients. We can control our value proposition. We can control our ability to be agile in providing solutions that our customer needs us to be able to provide for them. We can control our work ethic, our effort. We can control where we invest our tech. We can control the utilization of our tech stack. All of those things are in our control. And I think it's one of those things. My granddad was my hero growing up, and always will be. And one of the things he always told me is worrying about things that you can't control is like being on a rocking chair. Takes loads of effort, but gets you absolutely nowhere. So one of those things that if we focus on what we can control, then you're going to come out of this absolutely fine. Throughout any period of uncertainty, whether it was, Lehman Brothers collapsing, whether it was pandemic, whatever, there are always winners. There are always people that succeed in those times. And the messaging that I'm kind of giving to my kind of partners and businesses at the moment is why not you? Why can't you be that winner this time? And it's about controlling what you do, knowing what you do, and going kind of full ham on being excellent at that.
Well, that's terrific. Thank you. And to support that, we've been lucky enough, if you're watching this now, check the Team Hub for the couple of reports that John Salt did on the marketplace. John Salt, MD of Logic Melon, but a guru of job boards. So he's got so many wonderful stats on what's happening in the market, the jobs that are live and in volume now, what's happening with the candidate pools. And we had Adam Pode from Staffing Industry Analyst, who, bless his heart, charges a fortune to Michael Page, Robert Walters and Adecco for all their data and information, but gives it to us for free. He did a session with us a week or so ago, and we've got that recorded on the hub. So to support Mike's advice, go and have a look at that, because that'll give you some confidence, because there was real positivity in their messages too, certainly in the recruitment market and within the market, what vertical markets are really warm and hot at the moment, and those are a little bit cooler. Sure. But Mike, congratulations on going alone.
Thank you.
And thank you for the support you're giving team and the team members. Great feedback already on some of the sessions you've run this year. And I'm sure we'll be seeing you again soon on a Zoom, and looking forward to, I think you're coming to conference to present as well, aren't you?
Yes, fantastic.
Thank you for today.
Thank you for having me.
See you soon.